world echoed with cries of conflict, and power seemed to silence peace and harmony.
A young yogi, a revolutionary, set foot in Pondicherry. He was revered as the patriot of India's freedom, and the British saw him as the most dangerous man in India. Sri Aurobindo grappled with and rose from the darkness out into the sunlit path. Sri Aurobindo's father wished to make him a perfect English gentleman, so at a very young age he was sent to England. He graduated notably from the University of Cambridge. That was at the beginning of 1890s. In 1893, Sri Aurobindo returned to India, his homeland, where a deep and profound calm enveloped him, which, as he himself has said, never left him. In 1908, Sri Aurobindo's spiritual poise was disturbed by his incarceration in connection with the Alipore bomb blast. In the jail, he had the experience of the divine in all living and inanimate objects. This established a settled relationship with the divine. Eventually, he charted out a spiritual path which led him to the recognition and revelation of what he called the supermind. He sought to realize the influences of the higher spiritual consciousness not only in an individual but upon a collective mass of individuals. The mother arrived, first in 1914 and then in 1920, to settle down in Pondicherry to collaborate with Sri Aurobindo on the grand adventure of consciousness. Mira Alfassa was from France. She was a gifted child who had metaphysical experiences even as a child. Her collaboration with Sri Aurobindo charted out a proper spiritual discipline of triple transformation: the mental, the vital, and the physical. The mother's own experience was similar to Sri Aurobindo's and what he called the supermind she had experienced in 1912. She had attempted to communicate her vision to a European group, a vision of a future based on human unity, the creation of an ideal society. When she returned to Pondicherry permanently in 1920 to work together with Sri Aurobindo, the certitude of the manifestation of supermind was realized. Together they have promised that the supramental world will be realized on the earth. Mother had seen a perfect society which she expressed in a short essay known to us as a dream. Creation of a dream city which no nation could claim as its own, where all human beings of goodwill would have a sincere aspiration, could live freely as citizens of the world and obey one single authority, that of the supreme truth, a place of peace, concord, and harmony, where all the fighting instincts of man would be used exclusively to conquer the causes of his sufferings and miseries, to surmount his weaknesses and ignorance, to triumph over his limitations and incapacities. A place where the needs of the spirit and the concern for progress would take precedence over the satisfaction of desires and passions. The search for pleasure and material enjoyment. She named that dream Auroville.
She wrote to Roger Anger, a well-established architect in Paris. Roger promptly replied in agreement, becoming a pioneer in setting the foundation stone in the building of this overarching dream. Mother described to him her vision of having the evolution of a township in the pattern of a hibiscus flower. Roger saw beyond his professional position, as he mentioned in an interview. It's not about building a new city, it's about building a new man.
On the 28th of
February, a large orange and white balloon illuminated the site of a barren plateau, a location which was soon to be overflowing with people from every corner of the world. Soil from 124 nations and 20 Indian states were accumulated in the hands of the youth.
And I had a feeling that the atmosphere was being a participant of the Olympic Games, totally international. And I found the whole world there in this little town in Pondicherry. So I was moved and enthusiastic, and and you found all the people to talk to. And all the buses were there, I guess about 2,000 people gathering around the amphitheater, you have seen, no? Yeah, and being, how do you say, an empty shell to receive these impressions.
They walked along with placards of their respective countries and a handful of earth. A single flag waved, the flag of the mother. With the help of All India Radio, Mother, sitting in her room about 10 kilometers away in Pondicherry, read out the words of welcome and the Charter of Auroville.
Greetings from Auroville to all men of goodwill. Are invited to Auroville all those who thirst for progress and aspire to a higher and truer life. Auroville Charter. Auroville belongs to nobody in particular. Auroville belongs to humanity as a whole. But to live in Auroville, one must be the willing servitor of the divine's consciousness. Auroville will be the place of an unending education, of constant progress, and a youth that never ages. Auroville wants to be the bridge between the past and the future, taking advantage of all discoveries from without and from within. Auroville will boldly spring toward future realizations. Auroville will be a site of material and spiritual researches for a living embodiment of an actual human unity.
And then the barren plateau was brought to life.
From the beginning, we have found our oneness and unity when we work together. One of the most powerful places to do that was at Matri Mandir. It was a completely sublime experience to do the concreting together, to pass the chettis full of the concrete mixture, to feel the oneness, the bodily oneness that exists. Doesn't matter what color of skin, what language you speak. It gave us a physical sense of unity. And once you've had that experience of collective unity, whether you're working in education with the various representative types that have gathered in Auroville, whether you work together in Matri Mandir, whether you're trying to create systems of economy, of governance, of education, of environmental change, the whole point of Auroville that people learn to work together. And this, I would say, is one of the other successes that largely Aurovillians have worked really very well together in the long term, in spite of all the difficulties.
According to the Galaxy Plan, the hub of Auroville is the Peace Area and houses the Matri Mandir, the symbol of an emerging era of higher consciousness.
Auroville has a conscious center. It has a soul. And this soul is in some ways unique because it is representative. It's a symbol which represents the conscious force that creates the universe, the force of wisdom, the force of power and strength, the force of harmony, beauty, sweetness, and the force of skill in works and perfection. These are universal forces that have given birth to this earthly life. And we have at the center a soul that wants to symbolize these forces because it's trying to tell the Aurovillians, that's your center. Can you find within yourself this fourfold personality, which is a balance of wisdom, strength, harmony, and perfection? Each of us embodies many, many powers. Auroville is about touching that integrality where we awaken in a conscious, systematized, methodized manner, doing our work as a yoga.
The city radiates outward from the Peace Area into 4 main zones: international, industrial, residential, and cultural. These zones are enwreathed by the Green Belt, an area dedicated to flora and fauna. The International Zone is an area of various national pavilions to discover cultural diversity, surpass conflict, and to open new doors of understanding. Tibetan Pavilion is dedicated to the essence of Tibetan culture. His Holiness Dalai Lama, the patron of the pavilion, laid the foundation stone in December 1993. Auroville awaits with open doors to welcome future pavilions from around the world to be a part of this beautiful journey. The industrial zone is a space for socio-economic experiment, including innovation in small-scale and large industries.
Basically, we work with, we collect flowers and leaves, we work with things in nature. which we pluck and press, or seeds which we gather from trees and convert into different products like earrings, necklaces, bracelets.
Muthu Distribution Center efforts itself as an experiment in search of a no-money economy.
The ideal of Auroville is that we all are servitors of this big thing that sustains Auroville. And we are servitors, and our work is being offered, is our offering to the divine, so that Auroville can bloom, and we help to maintain it and to develop it.
Aptly named, the solar kitchen derives power from the sun to lovingly prepare meals for over 1,000 patrons every day. Hygiene is a top priority in the kitchen that prepares freshly sourced produce from various farms in Auroville.
We are in residential zone, sector 2, and this is Progress Community, which is the beginning of one of the smallest line of course. Residential zone is primary function is to provide predominantly residential land use, which will of course all be also mixed with appropriate amenities and facilities which are required to support the residential living.
The cultural zone focuses on practice and research in art and other creative endeavors. It provides a platform for the people to showcase and share their ethnic diversity.
Se acuerdan que era hermosa, más linda que una diosa, y que a criollo de amor le di mi corazón, mas el Señor celoso de sus encantos, hundiéndome en el llanto, se la llevó.
She says Auroville is a place of unending education, constant progress, and a youth that never ages. How do you create this youth that doesn't age? Can only be created in a condition where people, their core condition is a need to grow and to progress in consciousness in all the parts of the being. The human being is a complex being. There is a mind, there is a life, and there is the body. Body is the base and the pedestal. Behind the mind, life and body, which is our instrumental nature, we have a soul. We have a conscious representative of the universal soul, of the earth that exists within us. It's kind of the immanent Godhead. So each one has to seek this divinity within, in their own way. There is no fixed method that you can apply to everybody. Each one has to find their pathway, but there are some broad perspectives. Anything that is fixed limits you. So the first methodology that nature uses is the freedom to grow in your own way, but to grow, not the freedom to vegetate and languish. Free progress is a sense and education that is guided by the spirit, the soul within us.
Deha Shakti, the physical training campus of Auroville, embodies Mother's thoughts on the role of physical education. Fundamental skills like speed, strength, power, resistance, stamina, endurance and agility are developed according to individual capacity to promote a healthy and fit lifestyle.
You are in IKM school where Auroville receives 258 children from the neighboring villages every day. at 8:30 in the morning and keep them here till 5:30 when their parents are away to do some work. These children are given education as well as what they need for the whole day.
The green belt encircles the 4 zones with a lush cover of forestry, populated by a vivid biota. The belt is dedicated as a sanctuary for the preservation of natural diversity and is dotted with farms, orchards, and meadows. The Auroville Botanical Gardens was established in a response to the disappearing tropical evergreen cover along the Coromandel coast and addresses the global need for the conservation of genetic diversity in the plant kingdom across the prevalent climatic conditions.
In so many ways, the fact that Auroville is celebrating 50 years in the next few months, and that so many of us are here for this dream and this project, it shows that it will continue. And one of the quotes that I like is that Auroville will be regardless of the Aurovillians. It takes some of the pressure off that no matter if it's us or somebody else, and whether we do well or we don't, that dream is there and it will happen at some point.
50 years. The barren plateau of mother's choosing has bloomed into a sanctuary of nature and soul. An oasis shaded from a desert of indifference, all forms of life find respect and love here, regardless of size, strength, or origin. The beauty of coexistence is cherished and conserved. On the occasion of the 50th anniversary celebration of Auroville in 2018, a symbolic water ceremony was held as a prayer for the conservation of the life-sustaining resource. Water from countries around the world was poured into the golden disc, symbolically unifying the people and the efforts to conserve water. Auroville dawned as a much-needed effort towards a common goal of higher and conscious living. The journey offered little luxury, but the opportunity to work towards progress and harmony was as exciting then as it is now. The sun was never to set on this endeavor of realizing this vision. Every day, acts of kindness and passionate pursuits of progress chronicle the growth of the city. Auroville is a journey to realize aspirations of those who share the vision. Commemorating the genesis of this journey that started with the arrival of Sri Aurobindo in Pondicherry on 4th April 1910. A ray of sunlight is guided towards the crystal globe from the eastern side of the Matrimandir on this day every year. Auroville as a ray of hope has grown from seed to sapling in 50 years. The journey, albeit challenging, has always been towards the light.